Good morning and happy Sunday. Hi, I'm Clayton Allen, the host of the Day Trading Plumber podcast and owner and founder of AllenFx Signal Service. So, every Sunday I break down the Forex markets. If you're new to the channel, awesome. Glad to have you. I break down the Forex charts looking for possible swing trades for the week. If you want to see the exact time I take these trades on my own account, jump onto my Telegram channels. And if you have never traded Forex, have a little bit of risk capital, and are just too busy to follow my signals, I also have a auto copy program where I connect your account to my account and it automatically copies the trades in real time. So you can just sit back and watch along. If you're interested in that, visit AllenFx, www.AllenFx.com. Fill out the form, schedule a chat with me, and we will get you going right away. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's jump on to the charts. All right, so let's jump up from the bottom. So USD Mexican peso. So as you can see on the daily here, we've had this upward trend for quite some time. And then we had a break of that trend line. And then we haven't quite retested all the way up to that trend line yet. And now price is sitting right here on this S2. And I'll take a moment. These S2 and R2s and Ps you see on my chart are the pivots indicator. It's a traditional pivot levels. I use the traditional settings. I go back 20 bars. And what I tend to look for is when price stretches to an S2, which support, I look for buys, and then I post where is support on the daily. So as you can see right here is a good support line where price reversed on this trend. But now that we've broken this trend, if we get a break of this support, we got a lot of downside on this pair. But I'm looking to be bullish here soon. We've double bottomed on RSI. I'm going to look for a small break back up to this bearish area where price doesn't seem to be able to break this level as resistance. And let's not forget, this is the US dollar, and I don't like to bet against the US dollar for too long. But nonetheless, technically, I like this pair long from this zone unless we get a break. Like I said in the intro here, you have to be really careful because all we're really looking at here is price going to break through this level and then we got a lot of downside, or are we going to get a good strong bounce? We had some not so good non-farm payroll news last week, but that will be short-lived, and now we're going to be moving into this next week. So what do we think is going to happen? All right, let's jump to US dollar JPY. So this pair, I'm liking it short from here. And we actually took a short trade last week on the Telegram channel, made some good profit. I probably should have stayed in it, but it's a negative swap and we had enough profit on the table. I closed it Friday, took the profit, and early in the week on the open today, I'm going to be looking to re-short this pair. I love this pair at least down to this level. I'm not necessarily thinking I'm going to be bullish here, but I do think we are going to get at least to this pivot as a TP1, and a TP2 would be this bullish zone, and hopefully we get a good pull all the way down. We got some fundamental things coming out, so be be good week for the US dollar. So this one I'm going to turn red because I think right on the open we want to be short this pair. We're already starting to see some good bearish activity right there. So US dollar Swiss franc. Okay, so we had divergence on the daily. We broke this S2 level. That's where I'm going to get bearish again. If we pull a Fibonacci on this impulse leg, which I know it's a little off, prices go touching the 0.23 level, which the only reason I have this level on my retracement is when price starts to get bearish again here, I look for a double bottom situation. And you can see right here on the daily, we kind of already had it. But if I see price come back down to this bullish area, if it only retraced up to here, I'm going to look at this as a consolidation channel and possibly play up from here, down from here this week. I like up because of this divergence on the daily. I like bullish. So if we get another pull back down into this region, I'll be buying this pair. I'm going to leave this one orange because we're kind of in the middle. USD. So you can see my analysis from last week. I'm guessing price shot up, touched the pivot, and now we're starting to see some bearish activity. So you can kind of see what we called out last week is we got into our bullish zone, we got bullish, hit the pivot, we got out. Now what we're looking for is a continuation of this downward trend. So I'm liking this pair short, so I'm going to turn it red so we could be short this pair, especially on bad news of the non-farm payroll last week. So New Zealand dollar, US dollar. So New Zealand dollar's just been kicking everyone's butt. We got divergence posted on the daily. Great time to short, by the way, in our bearish zone here. And now we're just kind of seeing, are we going to get a good enough pullback all the way down into this? And why I have it right here on this R2 is if we do a Fibonacci retracement of that impulse leg, look where we are bullish. We're bullish in between the 0.38 and the 0.5. So you can see price already got close, but didn't touch the 0.5 yet and went past the 0.38, which tells me we might have a little bit more downside all the way to this 0.5, and we'll be looking for that on the smaller time frame for a confirmation entry. Let's get rid of that noise. Okay, gonna turn that one orange. Euro Canadian dollar. Let's jump to that. All right, so we get zoomed in here. So what we had is we had an upward trend, we had a break, we had a retest. Great time to get bearish, by the way. See that? And if you did, look at what you got. Now, because of this support right here, price is having a hard time breaking it. And because we can't seem to get above this level, I had a smaller time frame break for a short. Now, if price pulls back into this bullish area, I'm going to either get long or look for a break. But we have this missed pivot up here, so I'm more of this move this week. So I'm going to be long this pair this week, looking for price to touch last week's pivot. Price loves to find its way back to the pivot, especially after an upward trend. We had a break, we have a retest, so it should be bearish, but we're starting to respect this support line, and we're just going to have to see what happens here, people. I like this one bullish until it hits that pivot. New Zealand dollar, JPY. This looks just like New Zealand US dollar. We had a strong impulse leg. Look at this one, tapped the 0.5 and has been on its way up. So this would have been a perfect place for an entry point, and we missed it. But now it's hovering right around its pivot. So I'm expecting this one, because we hit that Fibonacci, I'm expecting this one to continue its upward trend here. And maybe we'll get a push up to this R2. However, fundamentally, when the dollar gets weak, because we had some not favorable non-farm payroll, Japanese yen likes to get stronger. So we have to be very careful and understand the fundamentals that are happening. Even though I'm not that strong of a fundamental trader, you have to be aware of them. So just be cautious of it. Here on the open, because of the non-favorable non-farm payroll news of the dollar, we need to see on the open first couple hours, maybe the first 8 hours through the Asian market to see what's going to happen with that yen. New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. Okay. Swiss franc is another pair that gets stronger if the U.S. dollar weakens. And what I'm starting to see here is possibly a head and shoulders pattern forming. Price has not hit last week's pivot. It shot through it. Hasn't come back up. But look at, if it does, it'll be a really nice head and shoulders pattern. So kind of what I'm looking at this pair this week is this type of move. So I'm going to get bearish here. Do you guys see that? If it's not a bad play to go bullish here, at least up to this pivot, and then get bearish at the pivot. And then we got some really good downside here. Some people, some traders might wait for a break of this neckline, and then they have a lot of downside. So I like this pair short if we get up to this pivot level and start to form this head and shoulders. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, it's kind of looking like the same thing, right? If we get to this pivot level, I might be bearish there. Yeah, I kind of like it. Let's throw this arrow, like it down to that level. All right, British pound, US dollar. All right, so British pound, US dollar. The British pound was on this uproaring trend with the positive news of Brexit. It's kind of stalled out a little bit. I'm kind of in the middle. I don't want to be bullish until I see what price does here, where former resistance is. Now confirms support. So that's why we're support here. But we're kind of in this middle range. And, I love to channel trade between these two ranges. So if we get pulled down into this bullish area, I'm going to look to be bullish from there. But right now, can't really see any. All right. So this one probably tricked a lot of people, and I know we've had this on our Sunday summary before, but we had this strong bullish. Then we had a bullish flag. We had a false breakout here, probably caught some people. Now we've broken the bottom, and we're in this retest. So this is a perfect time, technically, to be bearish. We had this retest, and I'm liking this pair from this region, possibly all the way down to this S2. Probably more like right here where price consolidated last time. So, right, hopefully you guys can see what I'm seeing there. But we'll just have to see, right? So, I like this pair from where we're sitting right now. Short. I'm going to make it red so I keep my eye on it. Ooh, let's get rid of some of this noise. So lots of divergence here on the daily. And remember what I said about the JPY getting stronger if the dollar weakens. Um, you can see price, big bearish move, pulled all the way back up to last week's pivot, pretty much touched it, right? So now, I'm liking this pair. If we get back up to that area, I love it to here. And if we get a break from here, I love it to there. See that? Um, that's technically where I'm looking is now it's starting to range between former week's pivot, last week's pivot, and you could wait for a break of this level before it confirms this drop. I like to take my sell trades from up here where we get a little bit of profit before we confirm this break. It's a little riskier, but that's how I trade. So I like this pair short if we get back up to that pivot. All right, British pound, Swiss franc. Okay, we're getting into a really tight. It's getting into this really tight channel. So when we get this tight of a channel, what I'm going to be looking for is if we break this level, or if we break that level. So some of you scalpers might be trading in between these two levels intraday. But I'm going to be waiting for this. I'm actually short this pair on my robot account. So I biasly want to see a break of this level, and I'll be shorting this pair. I like it all the way down to this range because this is where price made some moves before. So we are orange. British pound, Canadian dollar. Let's get some last week's noise out of here. All the British pound pairs are kind of looking the same. I'm not necessarily bullish. Might get bullish right here because you can see price just keeps respecting the support. It's a little bit below this former resistance. That's why, this is a pretty good area to be looking at. But because we're not getting any really good movement off of it, to follow along with the correlation of what I want to happen on the British pound Swiss franc, if we get a break of this level, I love it short. I'm not necessarily getting bullish right here, but we do have this missed pivot. So if we get a good bullish break, that's where I'm setting my target. All right, let's make that one orange. British pound, AUD. So you can see this upward trend. We respected it. That's why I got my bullish area right here. Price raced back to the pivot last week. And now we're going to see what happens, right? So I'm going to see what happens with price. If it respects this trend line, then I'm going to get bullish off the trend line. If we get a break of that trend line, I'm going to be looking for a good, solid sell all the way down to this S2 this week. If we respect this trend line, maybe back up to that high. But it looks like price hit this R2, raced back to the pivot, respected the trend line, created this pivot last week, and now we're just waiting to see what price is going to do. Euro US dollar. All right. So we actually made some money on this pair last week, as you can see. I'm not necessarily. So we kind of drew this trend line. We had a break in the trend line, and now we're kind of in this retesting of that trend line. I'm not too convinced. I want to be bearish here on this retest of the trend line just yet, because it looks more like, to me, a false break of that trend line, because you have this morning star daily candle. It's not a really strong bearish candle to prove the point. So I'm more like this as the trend line. So I like this pair long back to the pivot at least. So some of you guys that want to take a really quick short trade, I like it long to this pivot. And, you know, especially because the U.S. dollar weakened off non-farm payroll last week. So now we got, you know, some bullish moves on it. Not necessarily bearish till this area. So I like this long short term to the pivot, possibly back up to this bearish area. I might get bearish on this pair at the pivot midweek. So if you want to catch when I update these pairs, jump onto my Telegram channel so you get all my ideas, or jump on over to TradingView. I post videos and updates weekly there. So let's Euro NZD. All right, so we have this bearish trend. We got into this bullish zone. We got a retracement, and as you can see, I put a smaller. I was looking at we got divergence, so we got bullish, hit the pivot, and now price is going to decide what it wants to do. But because we have such a bearish move here, if we pull a Fibonacci retracement on this impulse leg, you can see price got up to the 0.5 and now is respecting it. So I like this pair. For all of you trend traders, I like this pair I like this pair bearish from where we're sitting, and it's not a bad play. I'll go ahead and measure it out. If you get bearish from the top here down to our bullish zone, you know, you got 200 pips. So it's not a bad play. I know on this chart it doesn't look like very far, but the only thing that's kind of holding me off is this divergence on the daily. But was this enough to get that good pull back down? It did touch the 0.5, which tells me it wants to continue down. So I'm not necessarily bullish. I don't know what happened to my bullish. I don't know what happened to my bullish box here. Boom. But I like that. I'm gonna get really picky right here. But I like this thing bearish. If we get a break of that level, continue down here, but you can take profit here and be a little safer. All right. So let's Euro, Japanese yen. Remember, we're kind of fundamentally biasly thinking the yen is going to get stronger off the dollar weakness. If we zoom in here, the euro got stronger last week on the yen. It's above last week's pivot, so I'd expect price to get back up to our bearish zone, and that's where we're going to take a sell trade from. And I like it at least back down to that trend line. We're going to look to see if we get a break of that trend line. And if we get a break of that trend line, man, we got some good downside. Really good downside. But we're starting to see a really strong resistance. That's why our bearish zone is right there. Euro, British pound. So we still have last week's pivot to hit. So I like this pair at least down to that level from where we're at. We are in a downward trend here. Doesn't look like we've broken that trend. So that helps support this downward move, at least to that pivot, possibly back down to this bullish area here. So this pair I like short. Would have been really good to get short here, right on last week's pivot. However, you can't beat yourself up for missing trades, right? So I like this pair short, at least back down to where we posted divergence, and it's not a bad play. Euro Swiss franc. All right, so we've been kind of identifying this channel for some time, and last week we got a break of this channel. As you can see, I was looking for a bounce off. Here's what we do have, though. Let's get some of this former noise out of here. Because we broke this level, got divergence, and we got this missed pivot right here. I'm bullish right now. I'm bullish right now up to this pivot. Price is going to want to get back to last week's pivot. And I'm going to let it. So this is a hot trade right out of the gate. We want to look at what price, if it's going to continue this move up to this pivot. Who knows? We might even get it all the way up to our bearish zone, but I kind of like that as our bearish zone now. So, but I really like it to this pivot right here. Then we're going to decide if we're going to get continuation or a bounce and continue this downward trend we were in. This consolidation's over and we get a downward trend. Really good time to buy where you've double bottomed on RSI right here. Yeah, I like this pair long. I turned it red because I'm going to want to look at it right on the open. Euro AUD. All right, so we have a very strong support that we've identified, and price is reluctant to break this trend line. So yeah, you can start to see we're getting a tight wedge going on here. But price almost touched a pivot last week, just shut down and it's come back up. So doesn't mean I'm necessarily bullish there. I'm not going to get bullish till we get down to this support range. So basically what I'm going to be looking for is if price continues to here, what is it going to do? Is this going to be the time we break that support and we get a big drop? Or is this time that we get long and we look for that break on that channel? We just have to see. But some of you guys, some traders might want to short this, and they're short. So right out of the gate, I'm short this pair down to this support, and then I'll be getting long, looking for a good break if we don't get a solid bearish candle through this level. Ooh, orange. Chief or Swiss franc JPY. So are we going to double top here, or are we going to break that level? So because it was the end of the week, we got divergence posting on the daily. I like this pair to start ranging. Then from that level we might see a push. So I'm going to move my bearish to that area. So out of the gate, or bullish, sorry. Out of the gate I'm bearish, then bullish. So hopefully you guys can see that. We broke this resistance level. Not fully. We're kind of consolidating right on it. So a little bit riskier pair. Our next resistance is all the way up here at this R2. That's why if we get this pull down, we respect. I like this pair up to that R2 level. Canadian dollar JPY kind of looks the same, right? So let's get rid of some of this noise. Um, Price is starting to respect this bearish, so I'm bearish this pair back down to that support, and then I like it up to that R2. So pretty much the same thing. However, this one's JPY, and fundamentally, we need to see if the dollar continues to weaken. We're going to JPY is going to get stronger. Just historically, it's what happens. So this pair may not quite follow the same credo or technical obedience that we're looking for. Canadian dollar, Swiss franc. So we have this really good daily channel to be bouncing between, and as you can see, price is getting close to this level again. We had this little fakey, so you may want to go down to this. So, that's a safe place. So what does price do here? We'll be looking to go bullish back up to there. It's still not a bad play to short this pair to there. You can get some good quick pips out of it, but also we're going to get a breakout of one of these levels here soon, and it's just going to happen, and then you're going to have some really good upside or downside. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, or US dollar, sorry. Australian dollar, we had this upward trend, strong bearish candle break. Price came down to this support, and look, it's on its way back to the pivot. So I like this pair, like we called out last week, long to that pivot. Then, because we have that bearish break, bam. So what's our Fibonacci telling us on this impulse leg? Look, that pivot is 0.5. So this a lot of technical positives here. Long to the pivot. Then we got a continuation of this downside. I love this trade. I'm going to turn this one red, so I watch it really close. And I might already be long. I got to look at my accounts. Might already be long this pair. If not, I'm going to get short bearish right there. And because it's not based on anything but that Fibonacci and that pivot, I'll shorten this thing. But that's what I'm looking at. And look, it's almost a retest of this former trend line as well. So I like this long to that pivot, then I'm going to get short. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. All right. So we've been identifying this trend, and price finally broke it. Strong bearish candle. So here's where I'm at. I'm not going to be bullish till these S2s. Sorry. Just not going to do it. I'm bearish if we get back up to this pivot or possibly this trend line. So now let's see what our Fibonacci is telling us. Excuse me. Kind of a short-lived impulse leg. We're at the 0.618 right now. The bottom, it's basically the bottom of this former support. Is it going to confirm resistance? One thing to be very careful of is you can see divergence posted here on the daily. So great time to take the buy trade from here. But I'm looking at, this has already made it a good retracement. I'm loving this sell from there to this level. Loving it. We had that strong break. The only thing I'm a little cautious about is if we look back at history, look at where price is sitting right here. This is a really strong support level. Price has only gotten below it a few times. this last year's flash crash, this little spike. So we got to be really careful where we're at. Was this just the impulse spike down to test these lows that dates back years, years, and years, and years? We have divergence. So, this would have been an awesome place to buy and hold, and you'd already be in some really good profit. You could move your stop loss to break even and have a risk free trade. I'm going to look for price to get in this area, possibly come back down to this S2 or this area, and then be a buyer again, right? Be a buyer again if we get into this area. I don't necessarily think we're going to get much lower. I mean, what is this? 2015 is where, and then that's where the flash crash last year got us. Who knows? If we get that big of a pull down, it could get that low. Highly unlikely because we've turned around in this area twice. So this could be a long term, all the way back up to last time we saw divergence. So tricky pair to be looking at right now, but I like it to test this area and short at least back down to this former bottom, temporary bottom, and then we will get long for sure here. See that? All right, I'm going to turn this one red because I want to watch it. If it starts showing bearish, I'm going to be bearish to here, and then I like long-term long. All right, so Australian dollar JPY. All right, so we have this upward trend. We had this little false breakout here. So if we get back down to that area, I'm going to be bullish. If it would have retested this former support of this upward trending channel, I'd be definitely short here. But we got this break. And I'm not necessarily bearish till this R2 level, but what I'm liking is long to there, see what happens, and then if it respects, I'd be short at least to that trend line. So I don't think I'm going to do anything with this pair because you're also sitting at this former resistance right now, and that might form this head and shoulders pattern that could just trick us right into getting our butt kicked. See that? And then you go short past this down to this neckline, and if you get a break of that neckline, you're going to get a good downside. You have really good downside. And with us kind of fundamentally thinking the JPY is going to get stronger, if the dollar keeps getting weak, you might just get this move. So I'm going to turn this one orange because we're not quite at any need to. And I didn't see this, but price dipped, shot, sitting right at its pivot right now. So it is a good time if this is going to be a reversal right at the pivot, get short, and boom. So I'm actually going to turn this one red because I want to see what it does at that pivot. Australian dollar, Swiss franc. All right, we have a really good support identified right there. This now, it was support, had a strong bearish candle, daily candle, break it right here, and now we're kind of testing it. So, that's why I'm bearish here. And what I think we might get, what I think we might get from there is, break back down to this level. Last week's pivot's all the way up here. So if we get a break of that level up, you might get a strong push from here up to that pivot. You know, I like this pair short more than I am strong, but I'm going to turn it orange because not quite anything jumping at us. So you can see last week we called out former support, strong break, just like the last pair we looked at. And then we got bullish off of this S2, but we were looking for a retest and then a support. But now that we've broken that, I like this all the way to that pivot. I'm not bearish again to up there. So I'm long this pair to that level, and then we're going to see what happens. And then I'd be short again, at least to that level. All right, so that concludes this week's Sunday summary. Hopefully, you guys had a great first week of the year. I know on my trading accounts wasn't the greatest week, but we posted some good profits. 3% profits in my Journeyman trade signals, my manual signals, and in my auto copy, we posted an average 1.4% profits. We got a little hook snared into the USJPY drama with the conflict, but you know, there's always trades that you gotta be focused on and work your way out of. If you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe and follow along every Sunday. I'm gonna start doing some midweek videos. I've had a lot of questions or comments on more scalping trades or smaller time frame moves. Obviously, I post those on my Telegram channel or in TradingView. And then if you want to see exactly when I take my trades on my own live accounts, jump onto my Telegram channels or go over to www.AllenFx.com. Fill out the form. I'll send you some information on the services I provide. And like always, have a great week, and let's go make some money together.